We're about to have a chat to Julie Adams. Julie Adams, by the way, is the Chemo at Home founder and is walking over 100 kilometres in 6 days, so that's 20 kilometres a day, so it's a reasonable hike. And it's for the Dirk Hartog Survivor Challenge. It's in support of childhood brain cancer research. Now, I'll give you just a little bit of background to this. During the challenge, there are 10 men and 2 women who will be hiking. They tell us survivor style. I'm going to find out some more about that in a moment. The length of Dirk Hartog Island off the coast of Shark Bay. They'll be carrying everything they need and indeed fishing for their dinner. The hike is a pioneering first. There is this old line, by the way, hello, Julie.
Hello, thanks, Chris, for having me on the show.
It's an absolute pleasure. You do realise when you have to fish for your dinner, you know the old line where they take the mickey out of vegetarians and say vegetarian's an old Indian word that means lousy hunter and can't fish and all that? I certainly hope for your sustenance needs that you are not bad at fishing.
Look, I hope so too. So, well, at least I hope that someone in the group is good at fishing and that there's great abundance on their line and they have tight lines, because I'm not so sure that all of us are going to be as successful as each other. And it has crossed my mind that we may come back just a little thinner than we went away.
Yeah, possibly. And let's be honest, walking 20 kilometres a day is probably not going to hurt either. Now,
no, that's true.
Let's just assume for a moment that you have 1 or 2 people who are actually a little better at fishing than others. Does that mean there's going to have to be a little bit of good old-fashioned mugging going on here?
I'd like to call it negotiation rather than mugging. You know, maybe I've got something that you need and we can do a bit of a trade here. We might have to form some alliances. Hopefully no one will get voted off the island and that we'll all make it back safely.
So do I assume for food your only option is to hunt, as in fishing, or are you going to, if you're able to, maybe pick some wild fruit or something like that? Mind you, you'd have to make sure you got it right.
We do have some guides with us who may be able to guide us in that area, but we are allowed to take a little bit of sustenance with us as well. So some of the dried sort of biltong and nuts can come with us. So we shouldn't completely starve if the fish aren't biting.
Oh, well, that's nice to know. Mind you, the stuff that you've got, if the fish aren't biting, well, let's put it this way. The word appetising is not coming to mind.
No. And I dare say on the last day when we get back, we will be very well fed and enjoy very much what we're served.
Yeah, I think that's a given. Mind you, on the other hand, you might turn out to all be excellent fishermen. There may be an abundance of fish running that's very, very nice to eat. You'll catch a heap of it. You'll always have a nice fresh feed, and you'll come back and you'll think, I quite like this seafood diet.
Oh, I love a seafood diet, and Shark Bay, that World Heritage Area up there, is absolutely stunning and very well known for how good the fishing is up there. I've been there many times before. Shark Bay whiting, Shark Bay mullet is beautiful. So as I said, I guess we're just hoping that we're a little bit unlucky on the Dirk Hartog Island side of the World Heritage Area as well. But it's a very well-known, great fishing spot.
Now, we've talked about the food. You're going on the hike. What's the terrain that you're going to have to walk like? I mean, we're looking at this and I can see here 20 kilometres a day, and I thought, oh, yeah, okay, 100 kilometres over 5 days, 20 kilometres a day. Yep, all of that adds up. But is it going to be an easy or a pretty hard 20 kilometres a day?
Well, I think it has the potential to be very hard. There is some easy parts. If you walk just down the centre sort of Dirk Hartog, it's not that hilly and not that rough. But both the left-hand and right-hand sides, the left-hand's very cliff-like, very limestone cliff-like, and the right-hand side's quite rocky and beach-like. So as we're traversing various parts of it, I dare say it's going to be a lot harder than possibly my brain's even quite contemplated just yet.
Now, how do you navigate? Are you using your skills, there's the sun, or are we actually just going to use a GPS and cheat?
Well, I think we're using our skills. We do have, as I said before, we have a guide with us who I'm hoping will be quite good at navigating as well. But the good thing, I guess, about being on the island, this is a long, thin island. It's going to be pretty hard to get lost, I would imagine. Well, I'm hoping so at least. So hopefully our natural skills in, lining up with where the sun is will serve us well.
There's a lot of hope in there.
I know, isn't there? I know.
I'm just listening to you and I thought, I hope. And I'm thinking, yes, I hope too.
Well, you know what? This is part of it. It's the unknown. So part of the whole experience and the adventure is the unknown. You know, things can go wrong and you don't actually know that it's going to.
Do you kind of hope that something does
go?
go wrong so you can put your skills to the test, or are you sitting there going, please make sure nothing goes wrong?
I think what it is, it's not so much about hoping that nothing goes wrong. I think it's more a case of just being prepared. So I think like in all parts of life, and I guess that's why these challenges are so important to highlight the charity, is that, you know, things in life don't always go as planned. And really it's about your resilience and your resources and your way through those, and that's what gets you to the end.
Well, it's interesting we're having this conversation because there is a very serious undertone to it. And if we go back as little as 8 years, there was absolutely no funding for research into childhood brain cancer in Australia. And I know that from time to time, and I guess you would have seen this too, they often talk about people, and I don't like using this term, but I think it's relevant in this context. They often talk about people having what's referred to as a sexy cancer. In other words, if it's one that's had lots of campaigns associated with it, it's had a bucket load of research, money thrown at it, and very, very eminent medical professionals working on research, the outcomes for the patients are often very, very good because the rates of cure have gone up and people's quality of life and their survivability rates have also gone up. Then on the other hand, you have what we might term these non-sexy or obscure cancers that are very, very deadly, and that the survival rates haven't really improved simply because there hasn't been the research.
You're absolutely right. And, you know, childhood brain cancer is one of those. And as you've just pointed out before, I've worked in the cancer area and have done for pretty much all of my career, so, you know, 30-odd years. And I'm really, really specific about the charities that I support. And one of the reasons why I feel quite passionate about this charity is that you're right, up till 8 years ago, there was no research in Australia on childhood brain cancer. And that's despite the fact that it's the leading leading cause of death in children. And so, you know, 2 children a week 2 children a month in WA are diagnosed with brain cancer, you know, all the time. And so when you've got children being diagnosed and then the improvements in treatment haven't occurred because there's no research into the area, you kind of feel very strongly that this has just been an overlooked area. So I feel quite fortunate to be involved in this. The charity itself only started up, as we said, 8 years ago by some families who had been affected by their children having brain cancer and some of them having died from brain cancer. And they actually packed a really big punch for such a small charity. And so they raised money to start the Brain Cancer Institute at the Telethon Kids Institute. They attracted worldwide, national and international expertise to run that Brain Cancer Institute so that the research quality was really, really high. And then a few years after doing that, providing that seed funding to get it all going, those researchers were then able to go on and get much bigger grants through the bigger granting bodies in Australia like the NH and MRC. And in addition to that, they managed to get researchers from all around the world together so that they would come together in Perth. They had a meeting so that they would collaborate and coordinate the research efforts on a worldwide level. And I just think that's an amazing amount of effort for just this little group in Perth to have achieved not only national prominence, but worldwide to have affected such a huge change in the area of brain cancer research in children.
It truly is amazing. Just to wrap up, I know that you're holding a wine, cheese and chocolate tasting night for 50 people on the 27th of April. More information on that?
Oh, absolutely. If people would like to go to the Chemo at Home website, www.chemoathome.com.au, all the details are there, but we've been very lucky to have people donate the space, this beautiful space for us to have the event in. We've got 2 wineries that have donated their wines to taste. Another winery has donated their champagne. So we have with architecture. We have Flametree wines, 3 Drop wines and Swan Valley wines all contributing. And then we have 2 great chocolate makers in Whistler's and Gabriel, who are WA-based chocolate makers, donating chocolate as well. So we've got some cheese companies coming on board and some small good companies coming on board over the next week too. So that it's going to be a cracker of a night, and I think everyone will really enjoy the tastings that we have on offer. And again, all the money goes into the Childhood Brain Cancer Research, the Pirate Ship Foundation. So it's all for a good cause. Excellent.
Julie, give us that address again, the website.
www.chemoathome, so it's chemoathome.com.au.
Beautiful. Thanks very much for having a chat to us.
Thanks very much, Chris.
And hopefully you'll be surviving all of that.